Peace to the family. Hope all is well with you. I trust you in good life, strength, and health today, and all has been pleasant in your life. Today, I'm going to talk about living abroad, specifically living in West Africa, but it's going to apply to all parts of the globe. Okay, recently, I was watching a TikTok video, and it was a sister that was living abroad in a West African country. And some of the things that she said, I guess they were for entertainment purposes, but it's a typical Western thinking about living in Africa. And the first thing that really stuck out to me was the American need for comfort and convenience. All right, when I'm talking about comfort and convenience, I'm talking about comparing what life is like in the United States to what life is like in a developing or emerging economy. We hear this a great deal of the times that the United States is the greatest place on the planet Earth. And I will attest that the United States is very fly. United States is very developed. And that came by great effort of our ancestors collectively, both African American, European American, Asian Americans, and everybody that worked to make this country what it is today. I.e., I'm speaking of the New Deal. I'm speaking of how we got our interstate transit systems going, how we got our electrical company, our electrical grid, all of that up to par. When you go abroad, more than likely, it's not going to be like that. So we're talking about convenience. We don't think anything about it in the United States, but when you go and you flip your light switch, you expect your lights to come on, and generally they do. Save for the time when you got ice, an ice storm, and the power lines are full with ice, and rainstorms, the power may go out, some bad weather. Basically, you go flip your lights on in the United States, your lights gonna come on. That's not the way it is in other countries. You liable to get a power out in the middle of the day when you working on your computer and you getting your lesson plans together. I was an ESL professor, so I was getting my lesson plans together. Boom, the lights would go out, power would go out. I might lose everything if I didn't save it every couple of minutes or every, you know what I'm saying. You got to save it to keep it. But anyways, not to say that Africa is backwards or anything like that, but I'm just saying United States had a good run during that New Deal up to the present day, where the infrastructure of the United States is top notch. You're not going to find it like this anywhere in the world. Even the European countries included. It's not the United States. All right. So this sister, she was talking about the language barrier. Typical American mentality. Most places in the world, they're polyglottal. They're bilingual at the least. Most places you go, you're going to find somebody that can speak some English, because English is one of those languages that commands a high salary. So that's why you have people from South America, Asia, the Indian subcontinent, all of these places, the Philippines, they try to learn English so they can get top dollar. at their job and at their profession. So you'll find some people that can speak English in some places, but other places, no. They speak their local languages, or they may speak a colonial language. If you're talking about French, West Africa, even the Congo, the region, you have more people in West Africa. I don't want to limit it to West Africa, but Congo, you got more people in Africa that speak French in France. 80% of French-speaking people are in the subcontinent of Africa, right? Along with their local languages. I was in Cote d'Ivoire for years. I was an ESL professor. I had students that would learn Russian. I had students that would learn Chinese, students learning English, students that knew German, I'm telling you, any language that you could think of. I had a student that went to China and was in China doing a doctoral level classwork in China. One of my little young students, little young lady that went on to University of Birmingham in England, she got there and she won the Chinese speaking contest. You see? So, but people from the United States, they expect that somebody gonna speak English to them. And they go in with I say, being high-minded, thinking that everybody gonna speak the language that they speak. And you don't make an effort to learn any of the local languages, any of the other colonial languages that are in Africa. And that's not good. That's a problem that we have in the United States. And just recently, the current president of the United States declared English as the national language. Everywhere I go in the United States, people speak English, or they trying to learn English. Very few people in the United States are not trying to learn English. I remember my students, they would say, Mr. Aaron, Mr. Calloway, you're in Cote d'Ivoire, you're obliged to speak French and to learn French. And I would say to them, I'm obliged to speak French on the outside of this classroom, but I'm obliged to teach you English. So the best way for me to teach you English is for me to stay in what the target language is for you. I don't do you a favor by speaking French to you in an English as a second language class. So we got that clear. But every time I would walk outside that door, I would have to deal in French. If I wanted to get me a omelet sandwich for lunch, I had to deal with it in French. If I wanted to get this delicious food, which is tuna, fried tuna, and a cheque, which is similar to grits but drier. It's a cassava grain. Delicious. I would have to do it in French. That brings me to another point. You don't want to eat the food. You so caught up on McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Captain D's or wherever, that you don't want to eat real food. You think that you're going to go somewhere and you're a vegetarian, everybody going to change for you. That's not going to happen. They're going to look at you like you're weird. And because you go over there acting weird, other problems are going to find you. Okay? You probably shouldn't go if you don't want to eat the food. Like me, all right? I hear Japan is it's a beautiful place. I'm not a real sushi eater, but I'm sure I could get along with eating the food in Japan, but it would be different for me. My palate, I love African food, love Mexican food, love Italian food, Greek food, Mediterranean food. So I can get along in those places. Middle Eastern food, a shawarma and some rice, I'm good. Okay, even back to food. Something that I heard that really disturbs me. Well, when you go to the market, the meat has flies all around it. Of course, it was just slaughtered that morning. You know, that's some of the freshest food in the world. I said, and what? You don't wash your meat in vinegar and saltwater brine before you cook it? That's nasty. That's really what's nasty, if you don't wash your meat before you cook it. I mean, I remember them slaughtering a bull right in front of me. I was new and they asked me, what piece do you want? I said, let me get that tail. They cut that tail up and I had oxtails. And they was like, how do you cook it? I showed them how Southern black folks cook oxtails. I shared a recipe with them. That's how you get along in a foreign country, is when you share a part of your spirit with the people that you with. That's the same way you teach a language, is you share a part of your spirit with the people that you teaching. That's the same way that you learn a language, is that you receive a spirit that they giving you. It's I guess the German theologians and philosophers would call it the zeitgeist. Pardon. Well, zeitgeist, it could partially be zeitgeist, but more specifically, the Volkgeist, which is the spirit of the people. All right. So, again, you throw me in the water, I swim to Guinea. Or if you drop me from the sky, I'm going to land on my feet anywhere in the world. If it's German, I got to get down in it. Ich studiere Deutsch, Klein Universität. I studied a little German in the university. So a little fresh up, a little catch up with studying in Germany. If I was to visit Germany, I would 6 months before I go, I would pull out my German books and I would study German, would try to learn 100 words a day, so that when I would get there, I could hear some of the language. I could pick up on certain things. I wouldn't expect to be fluent, but I would be able to deal with conversation and common dialogue, being able to catch up with certain words to gain understanding of the broader meaning of things. Okay. So again, you have to learn a new language. Fine. When people come to the United States, you want them to learn a new language. So when you go overseas, you should want to learn a new language too. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Something that most people that go to Africa, they don't think about supporting themselves. They think that, okay, well, you can go to Africa and the US dollar is so much greater, is so much of a higher value. Chances are when you go overseas, you're going to have to work. You're going to have some sort of income coming in, whether it's income from the United States or it's income that you make while you own that soil that you own. Simple things. Me, I use the English language. I have English language. I'm adept at the English language. I'm adept at sharing part of myself with people. So I teach English. If it's in Saudi Arabia, I teach English. If it's in Cote d'Ivoire, I teach English. If it's in Congo, I teach English. So it would behoove you to take a course in ESL, English as a Second Language, or TOEFL, which is test taking skills, and those type of things, and provide for yourself. Work, and this is personally me. When I got to Africa, I was ashamed that I did not take advantage of the educational opportunities that existed in the United States. I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I was not a doctor. The first time I saw a little boy on the ground writhing in pain from malaria, I looked at the child and I was like, is that malaria? And one of my colleagues was like, how'd you know? Yes. I said, United States educational system, we're exposed to a whole lot. We study, the 7 liberal arts sciences off the rip. So we get exposed to a lot of things, like a bachelor's of science. You will learn, you will have a well-rounded education that would allow you to go into all the scientific fields, even on to being a medical doctor. So, okay, other places like under the French system, they will study just one basic subject, whether it's accounting, whether it's biology, whatever they go into, they're just going to study that one thing. They're not going to have a very well-rounded education. But again, I personally was ashamed when I saw polio, people afflicted with polio, and I wanted to help these people. And I felt like, man, you had all the opportunity in the world. Had you been a little bit more disciplined, you would have been of greater service to humanity and that country that you was living in. Okay, a lot of us are spoiled, just spoiled. Want to have everything when you want to have it. Just don't want to ever hear anybody say no to you. Want everything to be easy. I was listening to this one person, they were talking about getting their visa renewed. I said, if you're in a developing country, I said, generally they have people called runners that go do those things for you. You pay them a little money, they pay the person in the office a little money, and it gets done. You might think it's a bribe, but I call it just getting the job done. I remember this one guy, he was a native. Well, he was actually from the country, but he was trying to get a visa outside the country, and he was in France. And they started asking this man for his birth certificate, And I said, now, how was this man going to have his birth certificate and he's traveling? I said, he had a passport. I said, obviously, if the man had a passport, he had a birth certificate. So sometimes people will give you the runaround just because they can give you the runaround. But then you got to be more intelligent than that and think, what is this person really trying to get? What are they really hassling me for? That little hassle, we might talk about $25. $25 will make that problem go away. What do you want to do? You want to not get what you want to get done at the end of the day? Or you want to just pay that $25 and get it done? Me, I pay them that $25 and get the things done that I need to get done. Because that's just how it works. You're not going to change them people. They are who they are. And no matter what you think, that's the way they do things. That's just the way they do things. So you got to be pliable. You got to be flexible, especially if you traveling abroad. You just got, like, what's the saying? When in Rome, do what the Romans do. So that's generally what I'm saying. In Rome, do what the Romans do. What else can I talk about? The speed of the United States is different than the speed of different countries. United States, we are a microwave society, a fast food culture, internet download, upload situation. Whereas over there, there's still a lot of paperwork that has to be done. So if you want something done, you got to plan into that lag of time due to that particular society. And I say this, if you're not flexible, if you're not open-minded, if you want to go and be on some weird things, you're just weird. You know what I'm saying? Stay at home. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. Number one, they don't need you over there. And number two, it could be dangerous. And with that, I'm gonna say this is my last point. My last point is, do not get involved in their politics. You don't know enough about what's happened in that country, nor can you change it. You just can't. And you never know who you're around. You never know who you're around. My experience was different. I was teaching at the African Development Bank. I was teaching some of the ministers of the standing government, and they had just come through a crisis. So this particular government was not as popular as the last government. But I had never ridden big boy with government officials in the United States, but overseas I did. But I'm telling you, in the neighborhood that I lived in, it was a heavy opposition stronghold. So I knew the guys that were in power, and I knew the guys that were getting ready for the next election. My wish and my prayer was that the memory of all of their presidents be held in high esteem, be honored, let them be praised for their good, forgive them for their bad. And I was just going along to get along. My love was for the people, and today it still stands. My love is for the people of Cote d'Ivoire. I love them. I love their society. I love their government. Whichever government is in play. But as far as my opinion don't matter. My opinion was that I'm going to work with these children and these people that I'm teaching English, so that when they go to Europe and these meetings, high-level meetings are in English, that they might understand, that they might be able to contribute, that they might be able to get goods and services for that country. That's what I was about. I was about development of human potential and human growth. So, again, that being my point, that if you can't grow and expand and enlarge your horizons, whatever country you go to, don't go. Please, don't go. Because the United States generally has a good reputation. The people of the United States, not necessarily the government, but the people of the United States have a good humor and a good relationship with people all over the world, especially African Americans. And don't go and mess that up. You see what I'm saying? And always remember who your home team is. Remember your home team. When you see an American abroad, hey, that eagle is your eagle too. And you should love one another, protect one another. I hope that this video is useful to somebody. I hope that it will change your thinking of what Africa is like. or what another country might be like. It's not necessarily always going to be like home. You know, and sometimes, you know, there are some places that are sweeter than home. With that, I say peace and love. If you spend a day without learning something, then you wasted a day of your life that you can never get back. Peace.